Greetings and welcome back to Doctor Who Revisited, where I go through every single episode of Doctor Who from 1963 all the way up to 2023 and review them. And now we are on the Android Invasion. This is another one of those Tom Baker era episodes where I just say it's an episode. It exists, it is part of a season, it's got Tom Baker's Doctor in it. It has Sarah Jane Smith in it, and not much else in between. It's okay. So premise-wise, so these aliens we know next to nothing about, except for the fact that their planet is dying or dead, and they want to invade other planets to keep going. And the way they do it, I like the creativity there. The way they do it is by building android replicas or just complete replicas of the planet they're about to invade, complete with androids of the people that are going to be there to test their limits and then invade. And somehow they got their hands on a human astronaut that disappeared 2 years ago, brainwashed him, and got him to help work for them. And somehow from that one astronaut, they managed to pull the information of the entire village with all the people in it. That makes sense. But then how did they get the information to build complete replicas of Benton and Harry Sullivan? They're, they're not permanent residents of the village. Maybe they are, I don't know. Benton does mention he's got to go meet his kid. So maybe Benton lives there. Maybe Sullivan lives there too. And of course, there's the office of Lethbridge Stewart, which sadly Nicholas Courtney couldn't make it for this episode. There was some scheduling conflicts with his stage work, so they got replaced by some Colonel Faraday. I guess this is the really unfortunate part is that we don't get to see the Brigadier again. Kind of feels weird seeing Benton and Harry without seeing the Brigadier involved in any official capacity. But yeah, there really isn't much I can say about this episode. I mean, the design of the androids I think looks really good. I like that. I feel like it's really cool the moment with the Sarah Jane android that falls, rolls down the hill, and then her whole face comes off, and you see the android face underneath, a close up with the eyes and everything. That's pretty creepy, but also pretty cool and very well designed. You see the full design of the androids on the Crawl ship, and I really like how they made those androids look real and believable and human-like by just, I don't know if it's hologram technology or whatever the technology involved with just grafting the entire human body onto those mechanical androids to make them look flesh and bone on the outside and mechanical on the inside. Of course, naturally, it's to save budget on making them look robotic. They just have the actual human actors walk around pretending to be androids, and just project their image onto uh, an android thing. I think I'm getting a little too caught up in the technicality of it. I'll just say the androids are really a creative idea. I like the skeletal design of the androids, and I love that they're not just completely robotics. They look human enough, complete with clothes, which is weird considering that the android of the Doctor at one point loses the hat. So, like, is the hat also part of the android? There's some Zygon related technology of how they managed to completely capture the image of the person, complete with their clothes and everything. Never really gets explained all that much. So I am a bit curious about how that technology works, but yeah, I think the androids are way more interesting than their creators in this episode, the Kralls. Like, what do we do know about them besides just their planet? I don't know. They seem boring. They're just one of those generic 70s Doctor Who aliens that didn't really make much of an impression on me. I don't know what it is. I mean, they look like rhino bulldog toads to me, and the masks aren't that impressive. I mean, we went. I mean, if I didn't already know that the crawls are coming when the first cliffhanger happens and see the crawls' eyes looking at Sarah Jane and the Doctor from behind an opening. For a second there, I almost thought they were Sontarans, but then of course I remembered. Oh no, the Sontarans don't show up until a later Tom Baker episode. Not gonna get into that at the moment, but then I couldn't just help feeling that how this whole episode would have looked a whole lot better if the Sontarans were involved instead of the Kralls. That actually would have made the episode a little bit more interesting, in my opinion. But judging the episode on what it isn't, not on what it is, and what it is just not that very interesting. I'm sorry. The Kralls, one of them, I don't even think gets named. Like there's two main ones, and then another one that I don't even think is mentioned. Even have speaking lines. Speaking of speaking lines, the mask doesn't fit well. You don't. I mean, it's very clear that you don't see their mouths move, and the mask isn't very practical. I feel like the way they dress looks interesting. They kind of dress like samurais and shoguns, but there's no there's nothing about their design or characteristics to suggest why that is. I don't know. The crowds are just boring. They're bland. They're not particularly very interesting. But that's it for them. There's some cool switcheroo moments which I really like about this episode, where of you think the real Doctor is actually the android Doctor, when the android Doctor is actually the real Doctor. You know what I mean. These types of things, and there's that moment where Sarah Jane thinks the Doctor is dead, but then turns out it was the android all along, and it was just the Doctor. I like that moment where the Doctor accidentally picks up the android's hat and just throws it away and picks up his own hat. That was pretty funny to me, and I really love the way that the Doctor found out immediately that Sarah Jane, the android Sarah Jane, is not the real Sarah Jane because of the scarf. Like those are some subtle things you have to notice whenever you're talking about these body double type storylines. And like as soon as he sees her, he sees the scarf, and then the first thing he does to test it out was giving her the ginger beer, which she already said at the beginning of the episode that she doesn't like. So like the Doctor instantly knew that it wasn't the real Sarah Jane, that it was a duplicate, but he went along with it for long enough until he can find out more stuff and then reveal it by the end of one of the episodes, which of course was the cliffhanger where the face came off, literally. And that's about it. Sarah Jane's journalist background really plays a big, huge part in this episode. With her, all the important details comes off when she remembers that she actually did a story on this village a couple of years ago, and that's how she knows about the dead astronaut or the missing astronaut, and how she's familiar with the village. So that's good. That really helps contribute with the episode. But overall, it's kind of boring, and it really saddens me to say this, because this is a Terry Nation episode. Terry Nation, one of the best Doctor Who writers of all time, the creator of the Daleks, for heaven's sakes. How could he have turned out such an uninspired species in such a lackluster serial is beyond me. But hey, it is what it is, and yeah, this is the last Terry Nation story for the show. It saddens me. It saddens me we have to say goodbye to this amazing, amazing writer, but such is the way of life, I suppose. In any case, that's it. I don't really have a lot to say about this episode, so thank you for watching. If you have, I'm sorry that this review was as the way it was, but I gotta be honest, and I gotta say my feeling. I gotta speak from the hearts. So let me know what you think about this episode. Let me know why you feel I'm so totally wrong on my opinions and why you think this is one of the best episodes of all time. Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you some other time. Goodbye. Hi there. Thank you for watching the video. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. I'll see you next time.